Good morning. What's up, Mr. Takalo? All right, we got some football to go over here. Let's see if I can get this window capture to work. As most times, it don't want to work right away. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me do this. Let me refresh the screen. Here we go. Now it comes up. Just had to refresh the screen. Let's see if it's gonna work. There we go. I think. Come on. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. All right, what's up, Randall? So when we are like in the last, can you believe we're like in the last week, last regular season week? Man, it's like we're already in the last week. It's the last week of the year, man. Last week of the year. Just seemed like yesterday we were in. It was week 1, but all right. So let's look at the standings real quick. It's pretty. I think it's pretty straightforward. If Texas A&M wins, them and Georgia. I think them and Georgia play for the SEC title. If Texas A&M loses, and Ole Miss wins, Alabama wins, or then there's a monkey wrench thrown in, and I really haven't looked at the tiebreakers to figure out what happens if there's a bunch of teams at 7-1. I'm sure they'll go, common opponents, and then all that other mumbo jumbo. But yeah. So the only thing that matters is if Texas A&M wins, they're in the SEC title game. And I think if they'll play Georgia, regardless of what happens between Ole Miss and Alabama, I think that's what I think that's known. But if Texas A&M loses to Texas, then the shit can break loose. But let's look at the last week, because we had some pretty ho-hum games in the SEC last week. A lot of freaking games that really didn't matter. And we'll go through them and whatnot. But hope Auburn beats Alabama this week. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's wishful thinking. Auburn sucks, man. All right, let's see. Okay, let's get this one out. Let's get this one out the way first. LSU and Western Kentucky. As this game was just a This was tough to watch. This is really tough to watch. As 13-10. 13-10. So nobody thought OU would beat Alabama. I don't know about that. I don't think that was a nobody, but I don't think Auburn's beating Alabama. Oklahoma beating Alabama wasn't really much of an upset, in my opinion. Oklahoma's got a really good defense. LSU's about to find out. LSU's about to find out what kind of a defense Oklahoma has this coming Saturday. All right, let's get this game out the way, man. This game was just an utter shit show. As Western Kentucky got the scoring off first, as they got a 36-yard field goal by Cannon. But they drove down on their first drive of the game. They did a lot of good things on offense the first drive of the game. But then LSU kind of stepped up their defense. LSU got kind of lucky that their quarterback can't catch. But all in all, anyway. So it's 3-0. Then LSU gets their only touchdown of the game in the second quarter. As Trey Green gets an 11-yard pass from Van Buren. It was 7-3. Then LSU adds a field goal in the third quarter, an 18-yard field goal in the third quarter. I mean, that's just horrible. As red zone offense plagues LSU all year long. It plagues another team in the state, but anyway. Then we get a 29-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. So there's 2 drives that we had the ball down and there into the field. We can't get touchdowns. We just cannot get touchdowns. 13-3. Then it looks like LSU's going to run the clock out. Then we fumble the football. and they return it for 71 yards for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, if they get the onside kick, LSU can lose the game. But luckily, LSU got the onside kick. They ran the clock out, and this game was just finally over with. 13-10. Yeah, this is the worst offense I've ever seen. Somebody tweeted out. They said since Division I split in 1978, from 1A and 1AA, LSU has never, ever gone through a season where they haven't scored more than 25 points against an FBS team. And they're not scoring 25 next week against Oklahoma. I mean, the 1999 team was really, really bad offensively. 92 wasn't much better. But those teams weren't this bad offensively. As bad as those two teams were, 1999 and 1992. I think in 92 they were 2-9, and they beat Mississippi State and Tulane. And then 99 was DiNardo's last year. I think they won like 3 games. So all right, let's look at the stats. As LSU's defense did a really good job. Now they did get lucky because Western Kentucky did drop a touchdown pass, and subsequently they went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. So LSU was very lucky that this game didn't go a certain way, because if they catch that touchdown pass early in the game, LSU loses this game. But if and buts, candy and nuts. So Tisdale had 128 yards passing. Parrish had 32 yards rushing. Hutchinson only had 40 yards receiving. Emory had a sack, and Wester had 17 tackles for Western Kentucky. Yeah, when LSU can't score any goddamn points, you're going to rack up the tackles. But all right, then Van Buren, he had a bad interception. He was 25 of 42. Van Buren had this is against Western Kentucky, and we can't move the football. That is just. I can't wrap my head around it, how bad this offense has been this year. But anyway, he threw for 202 yards. Barry had 18 carries for 80. Thomas had 6 catches for 47. Butler had 2 sacks, and Keys had 10 tackles for LSU as they win 13-10, and they go to 7-4 in a year. And yeah, that's probably the only game. That's probably the only win we're going to get this year. Let me do something real quick here. I like this. I like this format better. So I don't have to keep hitting the back button. Let's go to the SEC. All right. Okay, so we already went through the LSU game. Let's go. Let's run down Samford and Texas A&M. Let's just talk about how horrible this week was with the scheduling. I mean, late November, Texas A&M is playing at the time, a 1-10 Samford. A&M was 10-0. They went 48-0 as they get touchdowns from Bethel Roman, Concepcion, Bethel Roman again with another touchdown. Then Daniels gets a touchdown. Then a field goal by Zirkle. Then Ryden gets a touchdown. Another field goal by Zirkle. And Landis with a touchdown for Texas A&M. I'm not going to go too much over that because the game is just who cares. But Marcel Reed threw the ball for 100. He probably only played the first half. 110 yards passing. Daniels had 106 yards rushing for A&M. Bethel Roman had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty good stat line. 61 yards through the air. So that the stats between that. Yeah, we'll look at that in a minute. But these games, I'm just going to go breeze on through them because really nobody cares about these freaking games that mean nothing. As Owasu gets a sack, Jones had 7 tackles for A&M. And then for Samford, they threw the ball for 46 yards. Leading rusher had 10 yards. 27 yards receiving was the leading receiver. Another just, why this game even being played this late in the season? And here we go. Georgia in Charlotte. Another game. Another game that's pointless. Georgia wins 35-3. As I'm pretty sure Georgia played third and fourth string guys in the second half. That's why they only scored 7 points. So you say, oh, they only won 35-3. Yeah, but they probably played third and fourth string in the third and fourth quarter. It really didn't matter. So Frazier gets gets 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Second quarter, Walker gets a touchdown run. Another touchdown by Walker. It was 28-0 Georgia. Then Boyd gets a field goal for the 49ers. It was 28-3 after the halftime break. But Walker gets a touchdown in the third quarter for Georgia, and that's all they scored. That's probably all they needed to score. So, yeah. So I mean, Stockton threw for 196. Frazier ran the ball for 54 yards. Thomas 68 receiving yards. Griffin had a sack. Wilson had 5 tackles for the Bulldogs. And then Loftus had 130 yards passing for the 49ers. Jacob had 7 carries for 26. Mason had 38 yards receiving on 1 catch. Sack for Simpson, and Willis had 8 tackles for Charlotte. So, I think the next week, hey, we got a conference game. Hey, conference game. Woo wee. Oklahoma beats Missouri 17-6. As I'll say this, Oklahoma's offense isn't really, elite, but they're not going to have to be. They're not going to have to be elite this coming week, because But they beat Missouri 17-6. Missouri, some really. I thought Drinkwitz had a really bad game calling plays, especially in the first half. I don't know. Missouri really they were playing well early. And then Oklahoma just took advantage and scored more points. Oklahoma's defense is really, really good, though. As Meyer had a field goal for Missouri, they led 3-0. In the second quarter, Oklahoma gets a touchdown from Satigna, and Gibson was 14-3. And then late in the first half, this is the one I was really bad about, because they ran the ball late in the first half. Missouri did, and only got a field goal, and it was 14-6. I thought that was a really bad play call by Drinkowitz, not going for the touchdown there. And in the third quarter, there's only 3 points scored in the whole second half. That was by Oklahoma. So they win 17-6. As Mateer threw for 173, 2 touchdowns. He also was the leading rusher, 18 carries for 60. As Sategna had 3 catches for 109. Ween had a sack and a half. And leading tackler was Heineke, had 10 tackles. So, all right, let's see what we got going on here for Missouri. But Prabula had 231 yards passing, did throw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. They limited Hardy, which he's a really good running back, only 57 yards on 17 carries. Coleman had 7 catches for 115. Young had a sack, and Trotter had 13 tackles for the Missouri Tigers. So Oklahoma goes to 9-2. Oklahoma was really bad last year, and a lot of LSU fans thought Oklahoma was going to suck this year. But all right, let's see what we got here. Here we go. Alabama and Eastern Illinois. This is the one that Randall was talking about. He said, "Wait till you see the stats on this one." All right, so Alabama wins 56-0. I mean, it's just that's surprising. I mean, FCS opponent. I mean, why are you playing FCS schools in November? I don't know. But anyway, hopefully this shit just goes away next year, and play these games in September when nobody really cares. Nobody cares in November anyway. All right, so Jay Miller had a touchdown. Hill had a touchdown in the first quarter. Was 14-0. They scored 14 points in each of the 4 quarters. So very balanced offense by Alabama. Riley had a touchdown, had 2 touchdowns in the second half. It was 28-0. In the third quarter, A.K. Deere had a touchdown. Mack had a touchdown. In the fourth quarter, Young had a touchdown, and Deere had a touchdown, 56-0. All right, let's look at the stats. Okay, Ty Simpson only threw the ball for 147 yards. He did throw 2 interceptions. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll look at the total yards. As Jay Miller had 11 carries for 62 yards. McAbabe, how you pronounce that last name? I don't know. 2 receptions for 39 for Alabama. Keenan had 2 sacks. Hubbard had 4 tackles for Alabama. For Eastern Illinois, 4 for 8 for 20 yards passing. Kellum had 25 yards rushing. Leading receiver only had 1 catch for 15, and Alexander had 13 solo tackles. Let's see. Let's go to the full box scores. Team stats. There we go. Team stats. Okay. Yeah. 34 yards. Yikes. 2 first downs. That a typo? That's got to be a typo. 34 yards. Man. God. That's just why, man. I mean, and that's why these games shouldn't be played in this time of year. That's why these games should not be played this time of year, because I mean, that's just pathetic. All right, we got a conference game coming up. We got Vanderbilt and Kentucky. As Vanderbilt wins 9 games in the regular season, I believe for the first time since 1915 when I saw. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that ever. I mean, ever. 34 yards of offense. That is just, man. Talk about a boring game to watch. So Vanderbilt's 9-2. 5-2 in the SEC. Kentucky goes to 5-6, 2-6 in the SEC. But man, I think Kentucky plays Louisville this coming week, so they can go 6-6. And Stoops might keep his job. I thought was that a typo? was it 134? I mean, if it was 134, I believe I would be okay. I would kind of believe that. But 34 yards seems kind of it's got to be a typo. But damn. All right, let's see what the Commodores did, man. As they still have an outside shot at the playoffs if things, if chaos happens. Vanderbilt has a chance to make the playoff. It's kind of crazy. I mean, yeah, that's what Pavia said. Pavia said, "Man, I want to win a national championship." Everybody called him crazy, but Vanderbilt has a chance to get to the playoffs. All right. So Brock Taylor gets a field goal for Vanderbilt, makes it 3-0. In the second quarter, Vanderbilt scored 21 points in that second quarter. They get touchdowns from Trey Richardson, 2 touchdowns by Trey Richardson, a field goal. Well, I'm sorry, he had 3. He had not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns for Trey Richardson as Kentucky gets a field goal in the second quarter, and Vanderbilt led 24-3. In the third quarter, it was just more of the same. Vanderbilt scores 21 points again as Pavia gets a touchdown, Hoskins gets a touchdown, and also Sherrill gets a touchdown. So it was about 45-3. Going into the fourth quarter, Kentucky adds 2 garbage touchdowns in the fourth quarter as Hesser gets a touchdown and Ferry gets a touchdown for Kentucky. As Vanderbilt, man. Curious to see what Vanderbilt does next year without Pavia. Unless somehow he gets another year of eligibility, and who knows. With the NCAA and the way they keep losing lawsuits, who knows? Pavia might be back next year. But he threw for 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Threw for 484. He also was the leading ball carry, 15 carries for 48 yards. Richardson had 6 catches for 159. They had a sack by Sidnor. And then Patterson had 4 tackles. He was the leading tackler for Vanderbilt. For Kentucky, Boley had 280 through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. 27 yards on the ground from McGowan, only 10 carries. That's the leading ball carrier. Rodriguez had 6 catches for 78. Humphrey had a sack and a half. And Rayner had 15 tackles for Kentucky. As Kentucky needs to get a win this coming week to get bowl eligible. All right, we got Texas and Arkansas. A conference game. Hey, man, look at that. Another conference game. Didn't have many this week. But Texas wins 52-37. Arkansas scores 37 points. As Texas goes to 5-2 in the SEC, 8-3. Arkansas is 7. So if they lose to Missouri this coming week, they'll be 0-8 in the conference. Arkansas really needs to get a home run higher here, man. So if he does, he'll be 32 years old. But yeah, I mean, you never know, man. The NCAA keeps losing lawsuits about this eligibility shit, man. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Pavi gets another year just because of just because I mean, I don't know. But I hope not. I hope not. I don't want that. I don't want that to be a precedent where these players can stay, 8 years in college because they might not get drafted. But anyway, Arkansas actually got Arkansas scored first. The Arkansas played well in the first half of the first quarter, and then probably about till halftime, probably about halftime because it was. If it was 24-20 at halftime, so it was probably till by halftime Arkansas played well. But in the second half, Texas just blew them out the water. So Arkansas gets a field goal, 3-0 Arkansas in the first quarter. And then DeAndre Moore gets a 46-yard pass from Arch Manning, makes it 7-3 Texas. Another field goal by Arkansas was 7-6. Then Texas gets Arch Manning. Arch Manning catches a touchdown pass. Makes it 14-6 Texas after the first quarter. In the second quarter, it was Arkansas actually outscored Texas 14-10. As Washington gets a touchdown, Parker Livingstone gets a touchdown for Texas. It was 21-13 Longhorns. Then the Hogs come back with a touchdown by Taylor Green and a field goal by Shipley to end the half. It was 24-20. But then in the third quarter is when Texas really just Yeah, you're right. The NCAA is powerless. They are. The NCAA is powerless nowadays. They just can't win. They can't win lawsuits. Every time there's a lawsuit brought up, they lose. So if Pavi wants another year of eligibility because of I don't know, because he's taking some kind of home ec class. I don't know. they'll probably give it to him. But in the third quarter, let's see what we got going on here. As Texas, Arch Manning gets a touchdown run, and then DeAndre Moore gets a touchdown. Then right then it was 38-20 Texas. Looked like Texas was pulling away there in the third quarter. As Arkansas gets a field goal, makes it 38-23. Another touchdown by DeAndre Moore. As Texas led 45-23. Going into the fourth quarter. This is what I thought. That's what I was hoping LSU would do. Offensively against Arkansas. Because Arkansas's defense is really, 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 really bad. And LSU couldn't do shit last week against Arkansas. But, yeah, just cuz. I mean, because that's just how it is now with the lawsuits with NCAA. Because they'll burn out some kind of reason because, well, he's still going to school. I don't know. Well, he graduated 3 years ago. Well, he's getting another degree. All right, so in the fourth quarter, Texas LaFou gets a touchdown, 52-23. Arkansas gets 2 touchdowns, Jackson and Platt, and the final score was 52-37. So Texas really wasn't. After the third quarter, Texas was really no danger of losing this football game. And as Manning has played much, much better. Last, 4 games? I have to go back and look, but 5 games? Manning has played much, much better than he did early in the season. Now, I'm not saying he's looking like he's not looking like a Heisman candidate. He's still not looking like that, but he's playing much, much better than he did early in the year when he looked god-awful. But he threw for 4 touchdowns, 389. Wisner had 15 carries for 67. Livingstone, 2 catches for 104. Simmons had a sack. And Taffy had 7 tackles for the Horns. So, I know, but I'm talking about our offense, man. I'm talking about our offense last week. But if you remember, Arkansas could have had a touchdown before halftime, and they threw the football, and they threw an interception. So, but I know the defense made a play. I know the defense made a play. But still, if Arkansas was smart, they would have ran the ball in that situation. They probably would have scored a touchdown. But they threw the ball against Mansour Delane, which was freaking dumb, and he picks a pass off. So, but I get it. The defense did hold Arkansas down, but Arkansas was their own worst enemy last week because they kept freaking running the goddamn football. They kept throwing the football. But they kept throwing the football in the first half, and they kept throwing interceptions. So if they just would have ran the football in the first half, they probably could have won the game. But anyway, so yeah, so that just wasn't smart. Wasn't smart by Arkansas last week, throwing against Mansour Delane in that situation. So I'm glad they did. But all right, so Jackson had 2 of 6 yards passing for Arkansas. Washington had 105 on the ground for the Hogs. Jones had 5 catches for 82, and they did not register a sack. And Sorey had 7 tackles for the Hogs. So and 2-9 for the Hogs. They really, I don't know who they need to hire, but I don't know, man. But Arkansas really needs to hire a really good football coach. I like it when Arkansas is good. All right, man. And Tennessee beats Florida 31-11. They went for the Swamp for the first time since 2003. Tennessee hasn't beaten Florida in the Swamp since 2003. 22 years ago. Man. Florida. What the fuck is Florida doing, man? I mean, growing up in the 90s, watching Florida beat everybody like this, like reversed. Florida would do this to Tennessee in the 90s. But Florida's fallen some hard times. But Tennessee wins 31-11. Florida's 3-8, 2-6 in the SEC. Tennessee's 8-3, 4-3 in the SEC. As man, Florida was getting skunked in the first half. It was 31-0 at the break. 31-0 at the break. I mean, that is this. Florida has played some really, really bad football games last several weeks. They played against Kentucky. They didn't show up, and they didn't show up tonight. Now they did show up when they played Ole Miss. They showed up. Peyton Manning couldn't beat Florida to save his life. It's crazy. Florida last week against Ole Miss actually played really, really well. But against Tennessee, against Kentucky, they utter garbage. All right, so Davis gets a touchdown for the Volunteers, and Bishop gets a touchdown. It was 14-0 in the second quarter. Another touchdown for Bishop. Thomas gets a touchdown, and then Gilbert gets a field goal. It was 31-0 at the break. Man. And in the second half, Florida puts up 11 points as Smack gets a field goal and Ball gets a touchdown from Lagway. 2-point conversion, 31-11. Yeah, so Florida is just, Florida should not be this bad. Florida just should not be this bad at all. But Lagway threw the ball for 116, 1 touchdown. Ball had 18 carries for 96. Ball was also the leading pass catcher, 2 catches for 35. Woods had a sack, and Robinson had 9 tackles for the Gators. I mean, with the amount of high school talent in the state of Florida, Florida should not be 3-8. It just can't happen. Same thing with Florida State. Same thing with Florida State. Florida State shouldn't be what they are right now. I know this is, but so it's just mind-boggling to me how Florida State, and Miami have been teetering around just being irrelevant. Especially, Miami's getting better. Cristobal has gotten the ball rolling for Miami, but for a while Miami was garbage. And it's like how? I mean, how? All the talent down there in South Florida for Miami, they should be in the top 10 every year. Same with Florida and Florida State. I mean, there's just too much talent in Florida for them to be this bad. So Aguilar threw for 204 1 touchdown. Bishop had 116 yards on the ground, 24 yards. 24 carries. Man, I long for the day. I long for the days. I hope we see this one day for LSU, like consistently. 100 yards rushing by a running back. All right, so Davis had 5 catches for 72. Hobbs had a sack, and Talander had 10 tackles for the Volunteers. As they went 31-11. Auburn and Mercer. Early on, bro, it was the first quarter. This game was close in the first quarter. It was 14-14. But then Auburn kind of, did what they were supposed to do against Mercer. So Auburn's now 5-6, and they need one more win in the Iron Bowl. Man, that would be an upset though. All right, so the first quarter was really tough, man. It was like I saw the score. I was like, what the hell is going on with Auburn, man? So Deuce Knight gets a touchdown with 7-0, and then Mercer comes back and they lead 14-7 as Miller gets a touchdown. Dabbs gets a touchdown, was 14-7 Mercer, and then Auburn gets a touchdown right before half, and it's 14-14. Man, but in the second quarter. That's meant to say. That was the first quarter. In the second quarter, Auburn does what they were supposed to do, man, as they just pull away in this game. As Deuce Knight gets a touchdown, it was 21-14. Griffin gets a field goal by Mercer, and still, right now, it was 21-17. But then the Auburn Tigers get a touchdown by Knight, and then Coleman, it was 35-17 at the break. And in the third quarter, Melendez gets a touchdown. Simmons a touchdown. McPherson with a field goal in the fourth quarter. Another field goal. And a touchdown by Jackson Arnold on a 56-yard run. It was 62-17 as Auburn gets the win. They go to 5-6. With Spurrier and when Spurrier and Bowden were going against each other, especially in the 90s. Man, that was Florida State was one of the marquee games of the year every year, and then you go back and same with Florida State Miami. It was a must see game every single year. Now nobody cares about that game. Like Florida plays Florida State this week. Man, nobody cares about that shit. Ain't nobody watching that. All right, so we got Atkinson threw for 210 for Mercer. Miller had 14 carries for 38. Smith had 5 catches for 76. Prince had a sack. Bliss had 7 tackles. For Auburn, Knight had 239 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. He also had 9 carries, 4 touchdowns, 162 on the ground, 5 catches for 149 for Simmons, and Murray had 2 sacks. And Woodyard had 8 tackles for the Auburn Tigers. All right. Oh. Another non-con game is South Carolina beats the Chanticleers 51-7. As Carolina gets a win, they're 4-7. But they're not going to no bowl. But curious to see what happens with Beamer, Shane Beamer. A lot of rumors about him being canned. But Jaden Sellers had a 75-yard pass from Lenore Sellers. It was 7-0 Gamecocks. Then Lenore gets a 2-yard run. 2-point conversion failed. It was 13-0. Hunt gets a touchdown. It was 20-0 after the first quarter. In the second quarter, the Gamecocks scored 17. As Murph gets a touchdown. The touchdown by Lenore Sellers. Field goal by Joyce. It was 37-0 at the break. And in the second half, I'm sure a lot of scrubs played. Hunt gets a touchdown for the Gamecocks. It was 44-0 going into the fourth quarter. Then the Chanticleers get a touchdown on a 17-yard punt return. What? Is that right? 17-yard punt return. How do they get a 17-yard punt return? I can't show the highlight because I'll probably get copyrighted if I show a goddamn highlight. But I'm going to have to look at that. Is that right? A 17-yard punt return? I'll have to look at the highlight on that later. And then Dunn had a touchdown for Carolina. It was 51-7. it was a block kick. Okay. It was a block kick. Okay, thanks. I was wondering, how the hell you get a 17-yard punt return? That makes sense. A block kick. Yeah, I don't want to put the highlight because I'll probably get freaking copyrighted. Anyway. All right, so for the Chanticleers, he had Hudson with a touchdown. I'm sorry, touchdown. He threw the ball for 174, no touchdowns. Simpkins had 8 carries for 26. Wright had 4 receptions for 33. Wood had 9 tackles for Coastal Carolina. For South Carolina, Lenore Sellers had 2 touchdowns for 274, 8 carries for 82. He was leading rusher. And Sellers, 4 catches, 127 and a touchdown. Thomas had a sack, and Murphy had 12 tackles for South Carolina. Went past the line. That makes sense. And now I think about it, I should have thought about that. Yeah, it makes sense now. The punt got blocked. All right, let's look at the SEC schedule. As we got some interesting games this week. We do have some interesting games this week. We do, and we're gonna start it off on Friday morning, the day after Thanksgiving, in the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Is this going to be the last game for Lane Kiffin? I mean, it's possible. There's no line in this game? They usually put the line up here. I guess. Where's the line? I guess there's no line. They usually have the line up here showing what the line is. Okay. They got the the matchup predictor, which the analytics, I don't know. Maybe it's on preview. Let's see. It's not on preview. Okay. Yeah, I don't see the freaking line. So I don't know. That's weird. Usually the line on here. I want to. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go back to this. I think it was on the first page. Let me go back to the first page. There it is. 7.5. There it is. Okay, that's where they put it at. So they changed where they put the lines at. Yeah, Ole Miss is favored by 7.5 points. The over under is 62.5. Man, they're expecting a lot of points scored in this game. I don't know about Mindy. The over under seems kind of high, but Vegas usually gets this shit right. Ole Miss is favored by 7.5 points. Okay. All right, let's look at the stats. So Chambliss has thrown for 2,657 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the season for Ole Miss. Lacey has ran the ball for look at over 1,000 yards rushing. Randall, I don't think LSU's had 1,000 yards rushing if you combine everybody on the team. Wallace has 42 catches for 647. He's leading pass catcher for Ole Miss. As Humanian has 5.5 sacks, and Daugherty has 68 tackles for the Rebels. For the Bulldogs, as Chapin has thrown for 15 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on the season, 2,400 yards through the air. Bothell has 559 on the ground for the Bulldogs. Thompson is leading receiver for 868. And Mitchell has 2.5 sacks. That's the leading sack guy, 2.5 sacks. And then Manning has 76 tackles for the Bulldogs. So I think Ole Miss is going to win this game. So, yeah. Well, Edwards-Helaire ran for 1,000 yards, I think. All right, so Georgia is favored by 14.5 points over Georgia Tech, and the over-under is 59.5. I think Georgia is going to just obliterate Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has been playing horrible the past 2 weeks. Their defense is really they not playing well. I think Georgia's going to win. I think Georgia's going to win this game by a lot more than 14.5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 1,000 yards. All right, for Georgia's Stockton has thrown for 2,465 for 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Frazier leading ball carrier for 701 for the Dogs. Branch 63 catches for 638. Cole has 4 sacks, and Allen has 78 tackles for the Bulldogs. Haynes King he's the do-it-all player for them, man. Yeah, last year's game was really good for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech probably should have won that game, but they, of course, they didn't. But Haynes King he's the do-all for them. He's their guy. If he don't play, they have no chance at winning. But he's thrown the ball for over 2,500 yards. He's ran the ball for almost 900. Rivers has 536 receiving yards. Stone has 4 sacks, and Effort had 68 tackles for the Yellow Jackets. But Georgia Tech was really Georgia Tech was really. I thought they were going to win last week, but they just shit in the bed against Pittsburgh. All right, so Texas A&M on the road to face the Longhorns in the Lone Star Showdown. 2.5-point spread. A&M is favored by 2.5. Over under is 51.5. I think it's going to go over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. And I think Texas A&M should win. I think they're the best team in the SEC. But all right, so Marcel Reed has thrown the ball for almost 2,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Owens has 570 on the ground. Concepcion has 829 receiving yards, 52 catches, 9 touchdowns. Howe has 11.5 sacks for A&M. York has 56 tackles. And then for Texas, Manning has thrown for 2,763, 23 touchdowns, 7 INTs. Manning has really played better as of late, man. Those numbers have gotten a lot better last several games. The leading ball carrier is Wisner, has only 442 yards on the ground, 112 carries, 3 touchdowns. Wingo, 46 catches for 736. Simmons had 10 tackles. Hill has 70 tackles total for Texas. So I think A&M is going to win. I think this game is going to go over the 51.5. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored Friday night in Austin. All right, we got a lot of games on Saturday. As you can see the slate on Saturday as Louisville's a 2.5-point favorite at home against Kentucky. Over under is 47.5. I don't know. This is going to be on the ACC network because this is going to be a Louisville home game. This game is going to be in the ACC network. Louisville 7-4, Kentucky's 5-6. Kentucky needs to get a win to get bowl eligible, and with the amount of bowls they have, they'll definitely get to a bowl. All right, we got Boley has 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,060. McGowan has 163 carries, 120 yards, 12 touchdowns. Law 50 catches for 524. He's a leading pass catcher. Souls has 3.5 sacks, and then Rayner has 66 tackles there for the Wildcats. Miller Moss, 11 touchdowns, 7 INTs, thrown the ball for 2,344. Brown has 91 carries for 782. Bell, 72 catches for 917. Bailey has 5 sacks, and Quinn has 77 tackles on the season for Louisville. All right, man, we got, here we go, Takalo. South Carolina and Clemson. South Carolina is a 2.5-point favorite at home against Clemson. Over-under is 46.5. This game is going to be on the SEC network as the Gamecocks trying to just upset Clemson fans and win. Clemson 6-5. Carolina's 4-7. Two just disappointing seasons for both these schools. Clemson was, preseason top 5 in the country. South Carolina was ranked, preseason ranked. They were supposed to have a decent year this year, but neither one of these teams have just they've just underperformed. Looked up the analytics have Carolina 66.6. I don't know, man. Oh no, wow. All right, so Klubnik has 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, thing for 2,482. Randall, 133 carries for 677, more 40 catches, 653, 4 touchdowns. As Helt has 6 sacks on the year. Brown, 82 tackles for the Gamecocks. Sellers, 11 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, thrown for 2,056. Faison, 91 carries, 433. Barber, 24 catches for 503. Thomas has 7 sacks, and Smith has 60 tackles for the Gamecocks. But, man, I think Clemson win that game. Oh, here we go. Oklahoma and LSU. Look at the over-under in this game. 36.5. I bet the under. I bet the under this game. I don't think LSU's scoring. And I think LSU's defense is going to do just enough to keep Arkansas, like Oklahoma, in the 20 points. I think Oklahoma will score, mainly because our offense can't. But I don't think they're going to line up LSU's defense. Oklahoma's offense isn't prolific, but they're going to do just enough to win the game, like 20-3 or some shit like that. But 36.5. Bet the under. I say bet the under. I say bet the under. All right, Oklahoma's they're predicted to win this in the analytics. All right, so Nussmeier, man, what a disappointing season. I know he hasn't played the last 2 weeks. But even if he played the last 2 weeks, he still would be around 2,300 yards, around that maybe. But not even 2,000 yards passing this year. 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But Durham he's the leading ball carrier, 100 carries for 463. Brown, 49 catches for 486. Perkins leads the team in sacks with 4, and Halsey has 82 tackles from the safety position. I thought one of the linebackers would be leading the team in sacks. But anyway, in tackles. All right, so John Mateer, 10 touchdowns, 7 INTs, thrown for 2,260. Robinson, 74 carries for 408. Satigna has 56 catches for 827. Thomas, 6.5 sacks. Lewis, 68 tackles on the year for Oklahoma. As Oklahoma's 9-2, LSU 7-4. And I think Oklahoma's their defense is going to just shut down LSU's horrible offense. All right, we got Tennessee and Vanderbilt. This could be a really, really good football game. Tennessee is favored by 3.5. Over under is 65.5. That's a lot, man. I think there might be a lot of points scored in this game. I think both offenses can score points. I think I'm liking the over. I think I'm liking the over in that game. But yeah, I mean Vanderbilt's 9-2. Tennessee's 8-3. Vanderbilt could win 10 games in a regular season for the first time. I know they said they won non-regular season games for the first time since 1915. So, man, what Clark Lee's doing at Vanderbilt is really, really good. Now, I'm curious to see what happens when Pavia leaves, but still, I mean, they've won 9 games this year at Vanderbilt, and they did good last year. All right, so Pavia has 26 touchdowns, 6 INTs. He's approaching 3,000 yards passing. Pavia has also leading rusher, 661, 8 touchdowns. Stowers, 57 catches for 705. Stowers is a guy that I wouldn't mind to have playing for the Saints. Capers has 4.5 sacks on the season, and Langwell has 61 tackles for Vanderbilt. Yeah, Stowers is a guy that I would not mind if the Saints somehow was able to draft him next year. All right, Aguilar, 23 touchdowns, 10 INTs, throwing the ball for over 3,145. Bishop, 886 on the ground, 143 carries. Brazel, 56 catches for 926. Bailey, 5.5 sacks, and Spillman has 72 tackles. Yeah, this is gonna be a good game. This isn't gonna be one of these old Tennessee Vanderbilt games when they were just a blowout. Vanderbilt's gonna they got a really good chance to win. Then you got the battle line rivalry, Missouri over Arkansas. Game's gonna be in Arkansas. Missouri's a 2.5 point favorite. Over under is 58.5. As now Arkansas can score points. Arkansas's problem is not their offense. The problem is their atrocious defense. But Missouri's 7-4. They're trying to stay 500. They're trying to go to 500 in the SEC. Arkansas is trying to go not to go winless in the SEC at 0-8. As Pebrula has 11 touchdowns, 9 INTs, thrown for 19-16 on the year. Hardy has over 1,400 yards on the ground, 15 touchdowns. Coleman, 63 catches for 715. Wilson had 8 sacks. Trotter has 74 tackles for Missouri. Over for the Hogs is Taylor Green, 19 touchdowns, 11 receptions. He's thrown the ball for 2,655. Washington, he's got over 1,000 yards rushing for 1,018. Receiving yards is Blake, 53 catches for 707. Rhodes has 8 sacks for Arkansas. And Sorey has 78 tackles on the season for the Hogs. It's another bad year for Arkansas, man. They had that one good year. That was 2021. Yeah, that was the year they beat LSU at home in Baton Rouge. And Arkansas had a really good year that year. Looked like Pittman was going to build something there, but man, they just been. All right, we got Florida State and Florida. This game is on ESPN2 at 3:30 Eastern. Florida is a 1.5 favorite. Over under is 51.5. Man, Florida State is relegated to the deuce. Yeah, this is pretty much a 50-50 matchup, which is probably correct. As I mean, what Florida team is going to show up? Is it the team that's going to show up that played against Ole Miss, or is it going to be the team that showed up against Kentucky and then Tennessee? If it's the one that showed up against Kentucky and Tennessee, though, they're going to get their ass kicked. If it's the one that showed up against Ole Miss, they got a chance to win this game. But this is probably going to be not. I wouldn't even. It's probably be watchable. All right, so Castellanos, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, throwing the ball for 2,520. He also was the leading ball carrier, 480 on the ground, 8 touchdowns. Robinson, 53 catches for over 1,000 yards for the Seminoles. Desir had 6 sacks. Little had 69 tackles for Florida State. Over for the Florida Gators, Lagway, 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Throwing the ball for 2,096 yards. Ran the ball for 904, 6 touchdowns. Brown, 36 catches for 487. James, 3.5 sacks. And Graham, 68 tackles. Man, I thought Lagway would have a little better stat line than that on the year. Then we got the last game of the day from the SEC. Is Alabama going on the road to Jordan Hare? And if Auburn's gonna beat Alabama, it's gonna be if the game's in Auburn. The game's in Auburn, so they got a chance because it's in Auburn. If the game was in Alabama, they would have a prayer winning in Tuscaloosa. I don't think they've beaten Alabama in Tuscaloosa since the comeback game back in 2010. So Alabama's a 6.5 point favorite. Over under is 46.5. So this is a rivalry game. This game is in Auburn. Any Alabama fan will tell you when they play in Auburn, weird things happen. Weird things happen. When LSU plays in Auburn, weird things happen. They got some kind of voodoo over there in Jordan-Hare that when they play at home, some weird shit happens, especially against marquee teams like Alabama versus Auburn, LSU versus Auburn, Florida versus Auburn. When Florida was good, and when Florida was good back in the '90s and the early 2000s. But all right, so Ty Simpson has over 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year. He's approaching 3,000 yards passing. Jay Miller, 108, 410 on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, Alabama really doesn't run the ball like you would think an Alabama football team would. This isn't the this isn't the Derrick Henry rushing attack. So Bernard has 46 catches for 6 touchdowns, 676 through the receiving yards. Pierre has 6 sacks. Jefferson has 58 tackles for the Tide. Over for Auburn, Jackson Arnold. I don't think he played last week, but he's the leading passer, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Cobb has 4 touchdowns, 936 rushing yards. Coleman, 52 catches, 5 touchdowns for 682. Xavier Atkins, ex-LSU player, 7.5 sacks on the season. He also leads the team in tackles with 81. But yeah, weird things happen when Alabama plays in Auburn. If Auburn's going to beat them, it's going to be because the game's in Ann Arbor. So this game is at night at Auburn. Auburn's a very, very tough place to play. Any SEC team, rival SEC team, will tell you going to Auburn, especially at night, is a tough place to play. LSU's had their share of comedy of horrors playing at Auburn, and so is Alabama. But everybody remembers the kick six in 2013, then 2017. Then you had even in 2019, you had the missed field goal at the end for Alabama when it hit off the upright. So just weird things happens at Auburn. But I think Alabama's going to win. But I think this game might probably be closer than a 6.5 point spread. I think this game is going to. I don't think Alabama's going to cover. I don't think Alabama's going to cover, and I think I like the over in this game. I like the over in this game. There it is, man. We're in the very last week of the season in the SEC football schedule. As man, it's already Thanksgiving. Time has just flew by this season, which it always does. It always does. It's going to happen next year. It's going to be a long time before now and then. Labor Day weekend next year. But once Labor Day weekend comes by, and it's always week 1's going to happen, and all of a sudden blink an eye, it's week 10. It is what it is. So. There it is, man. There's your Week 13 recap, Week 14 look ahead in the SEC. So let's look at the standings. Real quick again. It's pretty straightforward. If Texas A&M wins, I'm pretty sure it's Texas A&M and Georgia. I'm pretty sure it's those two teams. If Texas A&M loses. I'm just trying to think of what the because there's me, and Alabama wins, Ole Miss wins. Everybody's 7-1. I think it might be Georgia and Alabama. I'm not sure, but straightforward. If A&M wins, they beat Texas. They're going to Atlanta, and then Georgia will meet them in Atlanta. So we'll see if that happens, though. But have a good one, and we'll see you probably Wednesday. So have a good one. We'll see you.